My son often asks, "Are you in this one?" And if I say no, he tends to go for watching that. But he gets a little, yeah. So that was pretty funny. I got to tell Austin, who's here this week, and he's my kid's favorite actor from Tokyo Ghoul. But he likes, the best thing he likes about it is I'm not in that one. So. I don't think you guys want us here very much.
Right?
It seems really Sunday. What's going on?
Exactly. They sound tired.
Bring the love. Come on.
One more. Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yes. Thank you for that.
Hey, friend.
Thank you. You guys don't mind introducing yourselves, please?
Okay.
The face is back. The scary anime character out there. Just not blinking. Sorry, you said I'm Johnny. Hi, I'm Johnny Yong Bosch. Nice to meet you guys.
Okay, I guess I'm next. Stephanie Nadolny, OG voices of Kid Goku, Kid Gohan, East Kai, Baby Trunks, and KO from OKKO Let's Be Heroes.
Yeah! Woo! Hey guys, I'm Justin Cook, voice of Yusuke. How are you?
Yu Yu Hakusho, right here, big star.
I'm Aaron Dismuke. I voice Alphonse Elric and Senku Ishigami.
Thank you very much, you all. So I'm going to ask you a few questions real quick. So the one question that we have for you, the first coming up, so this is for everybody. So what was your first anime role that you guys ever done? Go with...
My first anime role?
First anime role.
This is like the perfect panel for this. Justin, how did you decide that I should be young Akito in Fruits Basket when I was 9 years old? Passing the buck. Yeah, it was Fruits Basket.
I mean, look, everybody knows one of the fantastic actors here. He's always been that, and I just was able to exploit it young.
Wow, I didn't know.
I think my first was Dende, the teenage version of Dende and Dragon Ball Z. Yeah. Ironically, it was Barry who did the casting for it,
Right.
and my mom was coming through on a tour of the place, and he says, "Get in the booth. We're gonna do an audition." So not only was that my first role that I got, but I had to do that in front of mom, and so I had to make sure it was good, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Dende's one of the GOATs for sure.
Able to lose that in front of my mom.
Right.
No.
It's like a presentation.
Get out of the booth.
My first role was Gohan in Dragon Ball Z. I auditioned the end of 1998, and we started recording in January of 1999. And I have a big affection for him. I'm also the voice of Kid Goku, but Gohan was first for me. So we did it backwards. However, we didn't know at the time that we were doing anything backwards or forwards. But that was my first anime role, was Gohan, tutor my daddy.
My first anime role was Vash in Trigun. Woo!
Ash from Trigun, Dende, Gohan, Fruit Basket's character?
Young Akito. I
Akito.
started small.
Small? No, and...
Which is good when you're a 9-year-old. You should
Yeah,
start
a lot
small.
of pressure. I mean, just like any form of like voice acting out there is amazing, honestly. So with the next question, I appreciate you guys for answering them. Next question we guys got for you. How different was recording anime then versus recording anime now? From the past, current to now?
Well, the big thing that was different is that we were recording to tape back then, and everything's digital now. So, like, the time it took between a take, like your first take or a second take, felt like an eternity compared to now. Now everything's digital, so you can kind of fly through it pretty quick. Also, editing, from an engineering perspective, way easier today.
Yeah.
To edit 2 files together from tape, forget about it.
Seems tough. Do you guys do it yourselves? You guys have somebody else do that for you? More or less, you had that? Okay, cool. The next question I have for you guys, 1 second, disappeared on me. Oh no. Okay, how did the pandemic change recording? Has it gone back to the way it was beforehand? So how was recording during the pandemic? Like, was it difficult during like the whole pandemic time and after that? And has it receded back to normal after pandemic is done? That's
Wait, sorry, I think, how was it during the pandemic?
yes. How was recording during the pandemic?
I mean, I hardly worked. I think I had one job. during
One
that.
job?
Like, I really didn't have a lot at all. That was actually really scary, because then at that point, it was like, I think my career's done. I needed to figure out. And so I started like producing my own things and like, I better try this, because who knows if we're going to be back. But I did have a studio because I have a band. And so I had like a vocal booth for that and my drum room. And so I just was like, well, I guess this is going to be my vocal booth if we ever get back to it. And it's kind of gone back now. Like I'm being asked to go into the studio more, but they still kind of allow us, after that first year, then I was able to record, remotely at home. And so I've been kind of like, that was 50-50. Well, I was like 100% that for a while, and then it became 50-50, but now like it feels like a lot more. They're like, well, we want you to go into the studio, which is cool. I just don't like the traffic, LA traffic stinks, but it's nice to go in there because, I mean, then you're not doing anything. You don't have to like ride your own levels and stuff. I got good at it though. I got good at riding my levels, That's like if I'm shouting, I can just automatically lower it. Like I know exactly where it is. Like I have my hand on it, and if I'm shouting, I go like this, and so I just know. Like I don't even have to look at it. So I got that good. That's the one thing that I actually like, because otherwise I have to sit there and say, hey, this is going to be loud, and then make sure. But most engineers are really good at that, anyways.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
I had a show band, and I was working with them for off and on for 20 plus years, and we had to shut down everything. I think it was like 80 something gigs. Thank God I had a savings account.
8 gigs that got shut down?
Well, from the pandemic, yeah, we were booked throughout the whole 2020, yeah. But we did learn, like you said, the engineering background. If you need to record something or you do the Zoom thing or whatever, we all had to learn how to handle it. But it was really hard for showbiz people. So I was like you, I was trying to find other jobs, like, can I wait tables? Like, do I need to sanitize at Walmart? Like, I was just like, hey, whatever you want to get me out of my house. So I feel like I'm somewhat productive. But anyway, so yeah. Anyway, I do have a home studio now. Thank you. It taught us a lot, right?
The funny thing, I think the best direction I got while recording remotely was, hey, that's fantastic. It sounds good now. Could you do the acting instead of just engineering it? Yeah, it was a bit wild there.
It forced me to get my home it forced all of us to get our home studio going strong. So I went from having mattress foam in a closet to having a sort of Lego built booth called a Studio Bricks. It looks like giant Legos, ostensibly, it's supposed to be easy to take apart and move and then put back together. No. No, that's not true. No, I actually, I invited a friend to hang out, and I was like, hey, you want to help me move this thing across the room? I think it could be fun. We couldn't do it, so we got my partner, Sarah, we didn't have to come and help. So the three of us were just pushing and heaving, and it was a glorious, terrible time. But I also ended up reaching out to LA studios and taking more classes with directors who were across the country. And so it ended up opening doors. I think that was the only silver lining of the pandemic, aside from birds getting a break from car exhaust, is that voice actors got to, basically there was a period of time where the experience for a director or studio was going to be the same, whether I lived in Dallas or New York or LA.
Yeah.
And so that time period allowed a lot of actors to open new doors.
Yeah, I'll definitely say the pandemic came with some struggles, but yeah, for sure has have people learn how to do more skills, be more adaptive, learn how to hone their skills themselves. I appreciate those answers, guys, very much. The next answer for you guys I have, so have you guys watched the anime you're in? And does your family watch them with you?
My son often asks, are you in this one? And if I say no, he tends to go for watching that. But he gets a little, yeah. So that was pretty funny. I got to tell Austin, who's here this week, and he's my kid's favorite actor from Tokyo Ghoul. But he likes, the best thing he likes about it is I'm not in that one. So.
I'm assuming like he hears your voice enough. I'm assuming like he hears your voice enough. He just wants something different.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, you know, we have a pretty good son-father relationship there, but he's ready to not be under anything influential from me.
Yeah,
he gets enough of that at home.
I'll say my best friends love anime.
Yeah,
and do not love to watch it when it's me in it. It's immersion breaking is how they've explained it the nice way. The one show that they watched, I'm not going to name it, but I did a kind of smutty show when I was in college and poor. I did a couple smutty shows, but one of them, all of my high school friends watched together. They did a watch party.
Really?
Just to make fun of me. Yeah.
I don't watch anime, but honestly, it's because I'm just busy. I'm very, very busy. I leave the house a lot, and I'm not home. And I see, the snippets that people send me. Oh, remember when you did this? Remember when you did that? And I can see the snippets. And then I do like to watch snippets of shows that were being done around the time that I was recording for Dragon Ball Z, like Yu Yu Hakusho. I did do the Sayonara Bye Bye song. Yeah, in fact, we have like a history with music. Like I followed his band back in the day. I had a band, he had a band. It's like hippie band times. But so I just, stay busy with other stuff. But I do like to get the snippets because I do know a lot of the other actors that were involved in some of the other projects at the time, Blue Gender, Case Closed, and I try to challenge myself to pick out who the voice actors are just from knowing them from, back in the day.
Like a little game.
So exactly. But I just stay busy and I travel a lot, so maybe one day for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, my family has. Like, even my dad, started getting, once I started doing it, he was like, well, all right, I'll pick it up. And then he, got into watching anime. But, yeah, my kids, too. My kids now, they, more like their friends are watching stuff, and then they want to watch it. And if I'm in it, I usually won't tell them, because I just want to see how they're going to react. And my daughter is usually, she's like, wait, that's you, isn't it? But my son, he's not yet. He's just experiences it, and it's kind of fun to we've been going through One Piece, and I just like seeing him get excited. I see his face light up when cool stuff is happening. It's just fun. I'm like, yeah, this is my world, and you don't even know, but I'm in there. It's cool.
I bet. It must be really exhilarating, just just to be in a show and to see your friends, your loved ones, and all that. Just is for them to get that happiness from that in general. I definitely know that's an amazing feeling. So, the next question I have for you guys, is there a role that you will revisit? If so, what would that be? This is for everybody. Yeah, a role that you could revisit, like something like a show that was already over. You go back, so they got a new...
Like Bleach?
Like Bleach.
Or Trigun. Yeah, no, it's crazy to think that any of those come back. So, absolutely. I look at any of the ones I've done, I really enjoyed. There's a few that I would love to go back into. Plus, there's something, like Trigun. I think it was you that called me up on Trigun, wasn't it? Yeah. And it's like, what, really? You've done that a couple times, actually. But yeah, whenever it comes back, it's it's exciting. It's a little scary too, because it's oh, is it going to be different? What should I do? Should I do it the same way? But I don't know. It's cool, and the cool thing about Stampede coming back is that it's a whole new group of people. That they watch that first, and then they get into Trigun, and then they go watch the original. It's really cool. It's rewarding, to be a part of something like that.
What about?
Anytime I can come back and be Kid Goku is like a dream. He's so fun and hilarious and slapstick, and he did get turned back into a kid for Dragon Ball GT. This is kind of old school, which was really cool because it was another challenge of okay, so this is Kid Goku's voice, but he's already been a grown man and now he's being changed back into a boy. So I really wanted to make sure that my delivery had that behind it. Like, it wasn't just like I was doing Kid Goku's voice. I wanted to be like an experience where he'd grown up to be a man and now he's a kid, and I really wanted to exude that. And so it was a challenge, but it was fun, and I enjoyed it. So yeah, anytime I can go back and be that silly little innocent kid, that pure of heart, or whatever, blah, blah, I just love it.
Did you have to find your inner Schimmel?
Yeah, I did. That's interesting when I did, because he was already grown up, and then Schimmel was also in that same series as well as Super Saiyan 4 or something like that. Right. Yeah, but I had to like it was good for me to like really like, I'm not just a kid. I'm a kid that's been grown up, and now I'm back a kid, and that's where the acting in the drama skills kind of kicked in.
How did you go about doing that, like mindset wise?
It was like I had to picture it in my head, and then of course follow direction. Absolutely, number one, follow direction. But like really try to exude it in a way that's like, I've already been grown and I'm just a kid. Same character, same voice as a kid, but also like, hey, I'm a man, baby. I'm a man, baby. Anyway. Can't you tell?
Austin and I were talking about this just last night, and to your point, like the whole idea of like returning to a character, but are you going to be as good as you were the first time, or what people think of you the first time? So I figured that would be, because like there's been few opportunities where you get to come back and do something, and so you feel like, oh, okay, I'm far more experienced now, I should be able to do a much better performance. I don't know that it always lands that way, so it's nerve-wracking.
I agree. What about you, Aaron? Any roles you want to go revisit?
Yeah, I think the show Blood Blockade Battlefront could really stand to get another season. I really enjoyed working on that.
Oh yeah? What about it that you enjoyed about it?
The animation is deranged. It's
very good choice of words.
It's like cosmic horror with delightful jazzy tunes going on, and then comedy with like death metal going on. So it always has like the animation and the soundtrack are always like at odds with each other, but balancing each other. It's really neat.
Oh, that sounds like a good combination. So it's like kind of Ratatouille combination, and you put them all together. I like that. Yeah. Man, I appreciate you all for answering that question. Next question I have for you, specifically for Johnny. How does it feel to reprise the role as the older character as Ichigo and as Vash? No, we just talked about this.
We did just talk about this.
We just talked about this.
Were you here when I said I really...
I don't think I was.
No, it's all the same things I said.
As I was reading this, oh no.
Scary, nerve-wracking, but exciting and rewarding at the same time, yeah.
Okay, Beth, thank you again. Okay, Justin. Even through you were older. Couldn't you revisit your role as hero of the Fruit Basket? No, that's Aaron. Oh my goodness. Hello.
Oh yeah, right. I guess that did happen, didn't it?
How does it feel to reprise your role as Hashirama Yusuke?
Yeah, well, it was great because I finally got to see the end of the show, right?
Yeah.
The first time through, they only made it 26 episodes in, so this time it went the full 65 and finally got the ending. So yeah, that was fantastic. Very rewarding to finally see that.
Yeah. So were you ecstatic when they came out? I was like, were you surprised when they came back to you for that?
Yeah, you know what? I was. That was a pretty cool moment. We were in. I was actually part of the team in Japan that we were talking to them. That's when they told us that it was going to be coming back and gave us that it was going to be the full story, and we had to keep all that under wraps and secret. So that was fun to get that little piece of information. But definitely excited about it. I think anytime one of these old projects come back, excitement is the right word. I mean, that's certainly what I was feeling.
Yeah. Oh, well, I appreciate that. Now, Aaron, this is for you. It says, even though you were older and you couldn't revisit your role as hero in Fruit Basket, how did you feel to be in the new series?
Yeah, so I ended up voicing Kakeru Manabe instead. And I like that it was still a very sassy character.
Yeah.
Because Hiro was a sassy kid. And yeah, Kakeru is kind of similar energy, just more confident about it. And happier, I would say. Like his sass comes from I will tease you into being your best self. Whereas Hiro maybe Well, I guess all the somas are kind of dealing with damage and trauma and stuff.
That sounds deep.
Kakeru in the show, I know that in the manga, there's a little bit of underlying issues that don't get explored in the show. But in the show, Kakeru is kind of just like a healing balm for everyone he meets.
Yeah.
That maybe itches a lot when you first put it on. I enjoyed that.
Oh, thanks. So like it's just like just a wrap on and stuff like that. So you're more like healing wise. I have no idea what I'm saying.
Yeah, sorry. It's distorted, so I didn't make out the words.
Yeah, no, my bad. So like you said like his personality is like more like a healing. So do you relate to that as a person himself?
Oh, I certainly hope to be helpful to the people around me. Thank you.
I appreciate it. So Stephanie, this is for you. How does it feel to be a kid version of one of the most beloved superheroes in anime?
How does it feel?
How does it feel?
Well, I'm pretty excited that if you can call him a superhero, like, and Gohan has a cape. I'm like, hey.
He does have a cape.
I love the scene where Gohan gets to wear a cape like a superhero, like he's going to be flying around saving the world, right? I'm very gracious and excited that I was where I was in my career when it came time to audition and kind of sort of get discovered in a way, from doing some other voice work and from being in a live band situation. So it feels great. I don't know. I was like, I might not good enough as a person, but I also feel like if I truly believe in the character and it really I conveyed it that way, it's great. And it's like kind of exciting to be the good guy, you know? Like to really be the good guy. I'm not going to fall through this cloud because I'm pure of heart, you know? It's cute. So I'm very honored that I was where I was when I got to audition and I got cast. So it's been my livelihood and the way that I make a living, especially now more than ever. So I love it. I think it's great. And I'm very humbled by it.
Well, thank you very much. I would say you guys are all superheroes. You guys definitely inspire many millions of people. Yeah, Johnny, you too. Everybody, that's fantastic. So the last question that we have in this list is, what is your favorite thing about being a voice actor?
My favorite thing about being an anime voice actor is that the soundtrack is there.
Yeah.
And the animation is there. And so when it's done right, you know immediately, which is not, I can't say the same for prelay. Sometimes I'll do like a video game and I'm just looking at a spreadsheet and I'm not always even sure who I'm responding to, or what the context is. You know, sometimes it can be quite rushed. But with anime, you get that music swelling underneath your voice as you're saying it, and it's almost like playing an RPG with your mouth. That's my favorite.
What about you, Stephanie? What's your favorite part of being a voice actor? Yeah?
I was going to give him a turn.
I'm sorry.
Favorite part about being a voice? Oh, yeah. I mean, for me, it was cathartic because I grew up singing and dancing and performing and doing all these show business types of jobs by just being a little crazy kid putting on shows all the time. But I didn't realize it till many years later that when I was doing my voices and mimicking and carrying around my cassette recorder and mimicking my babysitter and making up characters. Like I was actually training for the role that I ended up getting that started my career in anime voice acting. And so for me, it's kind of like, wow, I was just kind of doing that for fun. But like when you put that in musical theater and all the other stuff I did, it became a career. And I was like, well, I mean, I thought my singing was going to put me on the map, not complaining at all. But I thought that was kind of going to be my thing. But the thing is it's a little bit more, I found that's more of a different, like, the skill itself to be able to be a voice actor and maybe even sing in that character is actually more of a, it's a little bit different. Like almost anybody can sing. I don't want to say that, like there are a lot of singers out there, but not all singers can be voices and vice versa. So that's what I found out about myself is when I actually came and became a voice actor that like, oh wow, I was training for this ever since I was like 3. And I got in trouble in school for talking in school because I was training. Hello, this is my resume. So that's kind of the thing for me is just kind of like, wow, it's kind of like flip-flopped. Like not complaining, but like totally like, wow, my voice acting. Wow, okay. Wikipedia, IMDb. I didn't know I had any of that stuff. So it's like I said, it's very humbling and exciting. So glad I was where I was when I was in the singing with the bands to get me into this industry.
Okay, so basically saying you're happy that you're able to do something that was already natural to you, able to like, and just express yourself through that form.
Yeah, I was like, okay, we're going to take all these crazy voices I made up in my head and we're going to make a whole new one.
Well, that's great.
And it's going to be Gohan.
And what
a
about
boy, 2 little boys.
And what about you, Justin?
You know, I think you guys are my favorite part of voice acting, in anime voice acting.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we get to take this energy that you guys give to us and then take it back to these shows that we're gonna, spill our heart into for the next however many weeks until I can come back and collect more energy. So thank you for the spirit bomb, as it were.
And Johnny?
There's a lot that I like about it, but I think one of my favorite things about it is that I still get to act, and it doesn't matter what I look like. Mm-hmm. So I can, just be. Yeah, I mean that's great too. That's another reason why it's great. It's really cool. You get to still be an actor and create, and you don't have to look like this person. And it's just super. Yeah, exactly. Super cool.
I would agree with that. I was like, because you guys, it's not like you got, or as guys are behind the curtain. It's more that you guys have, compared to actors are out there, they can't go anywhere. They get recognized and stuff like that. But you guys are recognized through your voice. You guys have more security. You guys have to go out with your family. As a voice like that, I bet that's also as grand and as great. So we just got the other questions. We're going to give it out to the questions to these people out here. Are you guys excited to ask some questions? Fantastic. So we're going to vet you guys out first. So ask you.
Hello. So my question's for Johnny. I was wondering, what was your experience working on The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, and did you have any like really funny moments recording as Koizumi?
Oh gosh, well that was a while ago. Let's see. I remember in the beginning it was tricky because he's talked a lot. He was very wordy, and sometimes the dialogue, it felt a little like I would trip up on it a bit, because it was like it felt so chunky, but it was appropriate for the character. So, but I do remember that in the beginning, and then just once I got through that, then it was like, all right, I got to make sure I warm up before I go in so that I can just keep talking, because that's what he does most of the time. But I did like that. I had a lot of fun. I think I can't really remember any funny moments, but I do remember. You remember the Endless 8? Yeah. So I had asked if we could do, because it's like, as if you don't know, there's like 8 episodes that are basically like the same thing over and over again, because it's like alternate universe. And I had asked well, can I change and have like a different accent in one of them? Can I like play one of the other characters, and can we swap it around? And the first reaction was like, that's actually a good idea. And then they went and asked, and I think it was Bandai America, whatever, was like, that's interesting. And then they sent it off to Japan, and they was like, no. No, you do it exactly the same, all 8. But yeah, I had a good time on that, of course, yeah.
My favorite character you voiced, so I had to ask.
Thank you very much for that.
Hi, this is another question for Johnny, and it kind of follows up on what Stephanie was saying about trying to find out who the older version of a character is. When you came back for the Power Rangers 30th anniversary special, was that difficult for you to figure out who the now veteran, super seasoned Adam Park was?
Well, so I had a lot of questions, because I didn't know they weren't telling me. Like I didn't get a script or anything. And so I was like, well, who is my character? Like, because I remember what I did before and previous times that I came back. And in the comic, there's a version of him that comes back after the team is, I don't know if you saw that one, where he's much older. And I was like, well, where is this, Adam, where's this version of him? And no answers. I was sending out tons of hey, so where does this take place? Who is he? And then I finally got a script just before we were going to head out there, and but it was very vague. It didn't really say, and it looked like it said SPA, and so I was like, well, SPA is that? And this was me trying to figure it out. I was like, well, is that Space Patrol Alpha? What is this? Because there's Delta, I know, and again, they would not respond to me. And I was like, what is going on? I really want to know what I'm doing so that I go there at the right, whatever. And finally, one of the writers wrote to me, and it was like, yes, that is what it is. Your character is the beginning of Space Patrol. And so that's who your character is. And no, you can't, I had asked all kinds of other things too. I was like, well, can I have a hint of red? And can Karen have a hint of pink? And they're they didn't respond to those. I was like, do we get to morph? Can I do a fight scene? They didn't respond to any of that. It was just yes, it is Space Patrol. And then so I just kind of was like, well, you know what? I need to stop asking. And I'll just he's just an older version of him. And whenever I get there, and then when I saw on set that it's we're in this, is almost like Star Trek, almost us, I'm like, all right, well, maybe I'm a commander. And that's how I just thought of myself. It's somewhere between, what I did last time and then what I saw in the comic is where I was going to place it. And then I was like, can I just leave my goatee? Because maybe that leads into the other one. He's older and he's got a big old beard. And they're like, okay. And so it was weird. It was they didn't want to answer a bunch of my questions. I just want to know who I was supposed to be. But again, I was just a cameo in that too. But I overthought it, to be honest. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I was nervous. I didn't want to go in and blow it,
Good afternoon. I wanted to ask you guys, I know in a previous panel it was mentioned that you do most of your recording in your individual home booths, so you don't get to see or interact with a lot of the other voice actors and actresses. So if you were called out to a studio and you were in the recording booth with another actor or actress, who would you be excited to do a recording with or have in the booth with you?
Anybody? It's so lonely. Because even after pandemic, we're still all one at a time, right? Because you got to match up the animation, right? And so if you're waiting on another actor to match their line, and then you got to get in and match your line, it just would take forever to kind of go back and forth like that. So, they'll hit 2 episodes or 3 episodes with a character if they're, if they've got the materials available to do so. So that tends to be the reason why even still, we're still working by ourselves. But to your point, anybody, anyone.
Even passing in the hallways, that's where I remember my early days at Funimation. We would pass each other in the hallways, or some of the voice actors were directors, and that was my only contact with them. And then we even had cast parties. We were kind of a small community back then, and so it does get lonely in the booth by yourself, fast forwarding and rewinding, and like he said, it seemed like it took forever. And if you're ADHD, you're just can you please hurry? I am ready for the next line. But yeah, like he said, just anybody that you can see maybe coming and going in the day is, it's fun and exciting to bond with them and get to know them and stuff like that. So yeah.
I think there could be a place for it. I could imagine if there were a show where 2 characters are pretty much just engaging with each other, and you had 2 veteran actors, where it could work for anime. And it would either be murderous enemies or lovers. So I would like to do a 2 scene with either of those.
I mean, I don't have a whole lot to add to it, but yeah, anime, we're just in there by ourselves because we're matching flaps. But doing a prelay or anything like that is great. Or even in anime when the other actor has already done their part, because then you have something to respond to. Like then you hear how they said a line and you don't have to guess, and then you're going to respond appropriately. So yeah, it's always nice to have somebody else in there to act with you, because you also feed off of that. You know, like somebody then is like, they're bringing you something like, if it's an emotional scene, then it's like, whoa, okay, I have to step up as well. You know, so you kind of feel that when you're in there, or you hear another actor that's done something amazing. You know, like with Trigun, when I heard Austin, and I was like, oh, wow, level up, all right, this is gonna be cool. And so then you kind of feel the emotion together, and it's like, oh, we get to see where it's going, you know? Yeah. That's always super cool, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I just realized you guys are my childhood. Holy crap. Thank you so much for sharing your gift with us. I've had the pleasure of meeting most of you guys, and my question is very simple. What is it in a performance that makes it satisfying to you? You feel like you went somewhere?
One more time, a little bit louder.
My question for you is, what makes a role satisfying, your performance?
What makes a role or a performance satisfying? I gotcha.
Where you feel like you went somewhere?
I think acting is similar to a lot of crafts and trades where you know you did a good job if for a time you forgot that you exist. Like if for a time you experienced some form of ego death. Yeah, so anytime I stopped thinking about, is Aaron doing a good job? Does director like Aaron? And instead I was thinking about entirely the work and was just like lost in that flow state. Anytime I come out of that, it's like, yes, you did it. How do you do that again? And then, yeah, I'm back at square one, and you work your way back up to that.
I mean, as long as the director's happy, it's kind of like the only other way to explain it. It's like if you think you did a good job, maybe not, well, then you just do it again. And because sometimes we'll be in the booth and then you'll say a line and then you'll see it at the same time and then you'll say another one wild and they're still taping. And that becomes the line. That becomes the one that hits because it's the first time that we're seeing the actual character moving their lips. And so I think it's a big deal because the director really, it's really kind of up to the director. So I remember being like, okay, why am I raspy? Okay, they want me to be raspy. Some fans are like, why are you so raspy? The director said, make it raspy. So I made it raspy. And it just kind of went with it, you know. So as long as the director's happy, and I mean, they're not going to like let you leave until it's right. You can do it however many times you want. So I think it's mainly like it's up to them. In my history.
That was a good answer. There are times when you're working on something and then you just get lost in it, you know. That's a really great feeling to just get lost in what you're doing. You just feel like you're there. Yeah, and you just synced up to it, and it's super rewarding to just feel like I just lived that in that space, you know. And then when you guys show up at a show and then you're like, oh, I love this, then that's like, oh, that made it so much more worth it, you know? Because we're just kind of just laying ourselves out there in the booth and we have no idea, you know? The director's not like, oh, that's amazing. Usually it's like, all right, next line. And then you just go on, you know? So this is where you kind of get to feel like, oh man, okay, all those, whatever those hours were, and then just feeling like you poured your heart out, and then you come here and it's like, oh, it connected with you, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello. My question is for Johnny. So I first wanted to say, hearing you reprise your role as Vash was so amazing. You bring the character to life. It was so cool to see him again after like 20 years. But so I was wondering, since Stampede does have some new characters and new voice actors, what was the decision-making process like having you reprise your role as Vash? Was it like immediate when they decided to do the English dub or something else?
That wasn't my decision. I saw that there was an announcement. I thought it was all going to be an all new cast.
Yeah.
Because the Japanese did that, you know? And so I assumed that's the way it was going to be. because I heard rumors that I was coming back, and I was like, oh, sweet. And then I heard rumors, or saw the thing that it was like, all new cast. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm out. And yeah, so that's not, I mean, nobody was like talking to me earlier on. I saw that it was coming out, like, it was like January 7th. My birthday was January 6th. And it was already, we were already getting up to that time. And I was like, well, I guess I'm not in it, you know? And then this guy, it's like, hey, I'd like to talk to you. Give me a call back. And then I was like, I was super excited about it, you know. But then again, even that, it was like I didn't know the story. I didn't know if they were picking up from the same. I knew that it was kind of maybe a reboot, sort of, but I didn't know fully what they were doing. It wasn't until I got into the booth where I could kind of see it, and then found out who Vash is not. He was not like exactly what I did back then, you know, not as silly and over the top. It felt a little more, I guess, theatrical, a little more real. Which was kind of cool to play it in that space, you know. Same heart, but yeah. So as far as like no decisions, it was just me. You know, I got the call, and I was like, all right, I'm excited to be here and do it. And then Jeremy Inman, director, I never worked with before, so there's also going through that, like the first time to see, like, are we gonna have the same, you know, am I gonna understand his dialogue as a director? And he was great, you know. Because sometimes when you work on something, especially something that you really like, it's like you try to like go like, hey, can I try this? Can I try something like this? And so I was a little hesitant in like saying that kind of thing, you know, and I didn't want to step all over like him as a director because we hadn't worked with each other. But he was like, okay, yeah, all right, let's hear it. You know, and then I was like, oh, I'm auditioning. But yeah, we found like a good space, and it just felt good to work on that. It really did. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi. Something I've noticed between old anime and new anime is that new anime sometimes seems to be more articulate in terms of the facial expressions or the lip flaps. So I was curious how much more work is involved going into doing those scenes right.
I think it's a little bit ironic in that we've had about 25 years to grow up in it, and so the animation has kind of, we'll say, accelerated or gotten more precise within kind of the same guides as we've gotten better at matching some of that stuff. So when we first worked on Fruits Basket at Funimation, we were talking about how that show had college level flaps as opposed to, say, Dragon Ball, which was, you know, a little, you know, there was more, you know. So we started really kind of looking at that. And directors since that time have really made it like a goal to kind of like, I hear words like, oh, you didn't get the internals right on that one, which is talking about the flaps within the sentence as opposed to just starting it on time and ending it on time, but finding ways to like really make that seem real or like it was intentionally animated to that voice. So anyway, I think as the animation has gotten more complicated, thankfully we've gotten better.
There are, I'll mention, I've gotten into script adaptation, so prepping and changing the subtitled translation so that it will fit into the new dialogue. And typically it's, the biggest problem is that there are just hitches that the translation doesn't account for. Those hitches sometimes will force you to like not only find a 4-syllable way to say I love you so much, but also you need to end it on a vowel. So don't ask me now, but there's a way, and you find it.
Thank you.
My question's for Stephanie. I was wondering if you knew that if you'll be coming back for the voice of Kid Goku for Dragon Ball Daima.
I have zero idea. I'd love to come back. I have no idea, though. That's in the clouds. And synonymous clouds at this point. I'm available, and I'm ready to do it. The fans have been bombarding me with this question, and when, and how, and whatever, and I simply just don't have an answer. I'm not sure anybody really does at this point. But I'm available, and would be ready to reprise my role, and it'd be like so cathartic, and I would absolutely love it.
Are you casting for it right now?
I don't know.
I was
asking him.
Oh, I know.
I wish I had some say in it, you know? Thank you.
Exactly. Yeah, no worries. Thanks for asking.
Hey, this is a question for all you guys. I was wondering, like, out of all the characters that you've ever that have been dubbed? Is there, if you had the choice, if you could choose any character that you haven't voiced, which one would they be? One you haven't voiced, like it's completely blanket. You can pick any character you want from any anime that you.
I would have liked to done Toru from Fruits Basket because she gets to sing. The girl that was chosen is amazing, but I would have loved to have had a shot at that because I love to sing. So singing in a character voice would be like a dream for me, like Little Mermaid kind of thing. Anyway, it's fine. I knew what my answer was for that.
I'm going to dodge your question a little bit and say, if Undertale ever got an animation, I would love to be anything in it. I think Undertale's so cool and super animeable.
Well, if they ever get an adaptation, I'm pretty sure people are going to start begging for you to get a job now after that.
Please?
Any character in a GTA game.
Dude, I could hear you in a GTA game.
I stumbled on this manga a long time ago called Abada. And yeah, it's like really kind of obscure. But I got into it. I thought the art was awesome. It just looked cool. It was like dark and gothic, which I like. So if that ever becomes a thing, I would, love to do that.
Thanks.
Hello. This question's for Johnny. I was the one that asked you what was your favorite animal. You gave me dragon. Yeah. So I was wondering what type of dragon you would have.
What type of dragon?
Yes.
Well, it has to fly, of course. And then, like no weapon made by man could like kill it. It has to breathe fire. I think that's about it. If it could speak as well, it would be pretty sweet. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, hello. This is for Johnny again. So if you what are your awesome tips you would give for any aspiring anime voice actors? Where would you start, and what's the company to go to now that Funimation is rest in peace, Funimation.
Why not? I mean, I think you guys could probably answer this too. If you want to be a voice actor, I would definitely start with getting some acting training. Find an acting coach. Hopefully somebody who is an actor, and somebody that you're Steve Bloom. I always mention, and would probably be a good person to go to because you probably have seen his work and you probably like his work. But that would be someone I would be go study from somebody who's done it. That would be the first place, is start there, because when you're with me in martial arts, people come up and it's hey, what should I do as a martial artist, to get better? And it's well, if I trained with you, I could tell you specifically. Otherwise, I'm keep training, or find an instructor who's going to say, oh, your defense is weak or whatever, So I would say find an actor that teaches, or just a good coach, that can kind of guide you as an actor. And start there. I don't know if you guys have anything to add.
Yeah, don't limit yourself on what it is you want to try to perform, right? Do anything that you can. So community theaters was where I got my start, and then in high school and college and that kind of thing. But just audition, because even if you're not getting the part, you're getting the practice by auditioning, right? So, and it helps you get over the nerves too, because that can be a killer in performance. So get out there.
Lots of stuff online, lots of groups you can look into online, workshops, different things like that. Listen to your voice, record your voice, listen back, see what you're best at, and just what comes naturally. And then, of course, maybe get, like I said, acting training, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Hello. My question's specifically for Justin. When I think of your body of work, the two that come to mind is essentially two teenagers, one being obviously Yusuke from Yu Yu Hakusho, and then a good almost 20 years later, you're portraying Kirishima in My Hero. So I was curious because you're portraying these characters who are fairly younger than you. And I'm wondering, like, what was some, I guess, challenges? What did you enjoy about it? What was that whole process like of kind of returning to that state of mind?
Super blessed, right? Lucky, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of trying to find where that character's heart is, and then speaking from there. As far as where the voice is, and that's all the casting director or the voice director of the show. They made that choice. So if they picked this voice, then I guess it worked for the character. So I don't think too much in that part, but finding where their core is, where their heart is, like what's the thing when I see their face, I can feel like I know what they're thinking. That's when it gets kind of fun and exciting for me.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, this question is for Justin. Aaron, was there any animes that you would have loved to be a part of or that you wished you did get casted in?
I don't really look at things in that way, right? Okay. When I go in to audition, it's literally just throwing spaghetti at the wall and then I just walk away. Yeah. Right? So I don't go with any wants. I don't go with any preconceived ideas of what I hope will happen. I don't even think about it. And then if something comes back, wow, how lucky.
Yeah, I remember when I was very young, I got to sit there in an interview. It was like me and a few actors, and one of them was Steve Bloom. And I remember him saying that he books 1 in 20 auditions that he gets. And I was probably like 14, 15 at the time. I was like, oh, I feel better. Because before that, I had really carried the weight of every audition I didn't book. I took it all personal, no. So after that, I was like, I'll shoot for half of that. Like, Steve Bloom's pretty good. So if I get 1 in 40 auditions, I'm happy. A lot of the job of acting is auditioning and learning to let go and learning. It's not that they chose not to cast you. It's that there are a lot of awesome people who are just as important as you, and you learn to be glad for them rather than sorry for yourself when you don't get in something. Yeah.
Also, I 100% agree with you. I would love to see you in an Undertale anime. That'd be amazing.
Thank you.
And thank you all, and have a great day.
Hi. I have a question for Johnny. What was it like to finally meet and work with Walter, your predecessor as the Black Ranger?
What was it like to work with Walter?
Yeah, and finally meet him.
Oh, I mean, I met him a long time ago. At a party at his house. He was dancing. Yeah, but this was after I had taken his role as the Black Ranger, taken over as the Black Ranger. Not really his role. It was my role. Different. It's a long story. I didn't kick him out of the show, by the way. I just want to point that out there. But he left. So, and then all right, never mind. So I did meet him, but to work with him was really cool. But I did work with him on another project that they were trying to do, called The Order, a film. And so I got to work with him on that. But being able to see him as the Black Ranger was pretty cool. To work with him in that space was pretty awesome. It was awesome, yeah.
I actually got to meet Walter last year at the Thy Geekdom Con here.
Yeah. Was he playing music and dancing? Because he usually does.
He's a jammer.
Yeah, I think he was, yes.
Yeah. The first time I met him at a con, maybe I don't know if I should tell the story, but he always stays up really late because he goes and he dances. But then one of the mornings I saw he wasn't at his table. I was like, oh, and we were all there. And then I walked by because I was heading back to the green room and I saw him sleeping under his table because he had stayed up all night and dancing, and he was actually sleeping. So if you go and you're at a con and you don't see him at the table, check underneath. So he might be there.
Just slam on his table, just wake up. Hey, thank you.
Last question for Johnny. In Persona 4, you voice both the main protagonist and the main villain. what was it like voicing both characters? How did you differentiate the voices? And also, would you like to return to those roles?
I would like to return. I'll just put that out there. But I didn't know I was voicing both characters. This was a long time ago, and I only thought I was voicing Adachi. And it wasn't until we were almost done recording his lines, I was looking at it and I was like, ooh, I'm going to get out early today. And then they're like, all right, as soon as we wrap up Adachi, we're going to have you voice the protagonist. And then I started to panic. Because I was like not even thinking about, I have to do another voice. And nobody said anything, so I didn't reserve the space. I was just kind of like all over with Adachi. And so I was like, holy moly, what am I going to do? And they could see the look on my face, and they were like, oh, it's just shouting and grunts and stuff like that. And so I was like, okay, so I'll lower them and just keep them in this space here, which was fine for that. Until the anime showed up, and I'm talking to myself now. This is going to be tricky. So yeah, I didn't know in the beginning, but ended up, being a really cool thing, though, for sure.
It is one of my favorite roles of yours.
Oh, thanks.
I think you did fantastic with them.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Thank you very much, everybody, for coming. I want to give another round of applause for our voice actors. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Thanks for showing up.
Yeah. One round of applause. You got Johnny, Stephanie, Justin, and Aaron. Fantastic people, amazing artists. They have their booths back there. Go ahead, get some autographs, some pictures with them. And thank you very much. You guys have a good day. We have a new panel coming up with another voice actors coming around 1:30. But you guys have a good time and enjoy yourselves.
This is Erica Harlicker-Stone, and you're watching Fandom Spotlight. Yay! Make sure to like and subscribe. Do it right now. It's free. You don't have to pay anything. I don't know why you aren't doing it. Seriously, I'm gonna keep saying it until you do it. Ugh. Okay, thank you. Yay! Remember to have fun and follow your fandom. Bye!